So welcome to Chef's Chat. Now this month, well actually next month, it's vegan month. So we've got together, put our heads together to see what we can come up with ideas for new vegans or if you've been vegan all your life, for carers or for caterers. So let's have a quick introduction. So I'm going to be your host today. So my name's Alex and I cover the Northwest, and we've got Claire in Scotland. Hi Claire.
Hiya, how you doing, guys? So I'm based in Glasgow and I mainly cover the central belt of Scotland, but I have been known to get further afield to the Highlands and Islands.
Fantastic. And down to you, Ollie. Where do you cover?
Yeah, I cover the whole of the south, so that's quite a broad area, but mostly London and the surrounds around there. Fantastic.
And Justina?
I'm based in Birmingham and I cover Midlands area.
Fantastic. So it's coming up to Vegan Month next month. So what sort of ideas have we got for our up and coming new vegans? So tips on health, tips on just general tips. I'm going to start off with Ollie, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, I've got a whole host of these.
Please share away.
Well, I mean, I'm all about the health, so try and focus on whole foods to start with. Although some processed vegan foods can be a really good transitionary thing. Ideally, you want to be moving to a sort of whole-based plant diet. So base it on fruit, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds. So you're getting nutrient-dense food packed with essential vitamins, minerals and fiber. So try and limit those processed foods. But like I say, they can be a really good transitionary food. And educate yourself, learn about essential nutrients. You need to get enough protein, and you can use things like chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, quinoa. All these things are really packed full of amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. And then you need to get enough iron, but that's fine. You can use chickpeas, spinach, fortified cereals, quinoa again, lots of seeds and nuts. And then calcium. This is one people really worry about because people just think dairy or milk all the time. But really, there's lots of fortified milks, almonds, leafy greens, seaweed if you want to go really offbeat, and tahini and things like that. So you can really, you don't need to miss out on calcium at all. Vitamin B12 is another one, but you might want to supplement that. Lots of people miss that from their diet, but you can get it from things like nutritional yeast, which is a really great vegan product, and again, cereals, plant milks. Omega-3s, which people often get from fish, but you can get those from a variety of seeds and nuts and things. And vitamin D, where none of us get enough vitamin D, so that's probably one you do want to supplement with. We usually get it from sunlight as well, but we don't get enough sunlight in this country, do we? So that's
Fantastic. Wow, that's covered so much. I think should we just end it now? That's fantastic. But I do want to pick up on a couple of things. So I'm going to throw this to the other chefs, if I may. You mentioned tempeh and also tofu. So Justina, can you give us some tips on how to cook tofu? Because when I first started making it, I really didn't know what I was doing, but it took a little while. But what tips would you have for that?
Well, it's sometimes easier than you expect it to be. So nowadays you can already buy pre-squeezed, let's say, tofu. So it comes, you don't need to do anything. It's ready to cook, just slice it up, and it's just sort of identifiable very easily on the shelves. But other tofus will sort of sit in liquid, which you need to drain, and then you need to squeeze the tofu. So there are specific presses to squeeze tofus, but obviously if you're a beginner or you're someone who's starting to care for a vegan and you're not quite sure, you can just pile up, obviously safety first, I would say plates, but you can use chopping boards and make sure that on the bottom you have something to catch all the liquid. So obviously if you have a bit of a kitchen towel on the bottom or clean towel, and then you put some weights on the top and it squeezes everything, and then liquid should leave the tofu, which gives you that lovely space to add flavors and marinades in. So, and that's pretty much basics how to start, and the rest is up to you. Cook it, fry it, steam it. It's just loads of different places how you can just prepare it.
Fantastic. And I guess when you buy the plain, particularly, you do need to put quite a lot of seasoning in there just to give it some flavour. That's fantastic. And Claire, how are you with your tempeh?
Oh, it's so versatile and widely available now. And as Justina was saying, like tofu, a lot of it is ready to use and it's been marinated and it's been coated with flavours. But if you can only get the plain variety, I would say marinade with flavours and spices. And so think what types of food you like, whether it be Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, all about getting those flavours embedded into it before you cook it. And so likewise with tofu. So with the tofu, I like to coat it with some corn flour and lots of spices. And that way it gives it a nice crispy texture when you're cooking it. I particularly like to use both tempeh and tofu for stir fries.
Fantastic, fantastic. I must admit, I am a fan now of tofu, and lots of flavors to it, and fry it till there's nothing left of it, and it gets nice and crispy. But also, I'm a big fan of tempeh as well. Fantastic, lovely. Well, as Vegan Month is coming up, what ideas do you have, chefs, for caterers to get involved? Because obviously they're going to be thinking about in terms of dishes that are not just popular for vegans or vegetarians. They're going to appeal to everybody, which obviously vegan food and vegetarian food can do. But is there anything extra that you would like to add? So Justina, so what tips have you got for caterers to get involved in Vegan Month?
Well, I definitely suggest trying to get involved for people you care for. So something like cooking demonstrations is an amazing way to sort of showcase people how the food is being prepared. And at the end, you obviously get the tasters, which is the best bit. And then you can make a game out of it. Make people rate the food, see if they like it. Would they like to have this on the menu? What they would prefer to be done differently. Perhaps someone doesn't like garlic, so it's not nothing to do about the food. You also could try something like banana blossoms or jackfruit, something a bit out there, a bit strange. When you pull it out of a tin, it looks really strange, so it's very interesting. You're almost like telling a story, but also have to be mindful with such sessions. If you adding these like jackfruit on your menu, make sure that you are aware that it's not that high in protein, even though it's often used as a meat substitute. So just make sure that nutrients all in there at the end of the day.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it is something that caterers particularly need to watch out for, to make sure that the meals are, well, everybody really needs to make sure that they're balanced. Ollie, you have anything else that you'd add to encourage caterers to take part in Vegan Month?
Yeah, you could have some special events, absolutely. Even have a weekly special that people can choose off the menu. You could even collaborate with local brands. I mean, that's quite an elaborate option, but something that's
like a little bit of sponsorship, you mean?
Absolutely, yeah, something like that. Or you could get residents or the people you're catering for to veganize their favorite meal. That'd be a good idea as well.
Fantastic. And finally, Claire, any final thoughts to add for caterers?
Yeah, just picking up on what Ollie was saying there. At BFL, we've got the Veganising the Classics publication, which has got loads of great recipes, and a lot of them are traditional dishes and comfort food that people are going to associate with, and they're going to enjoy it. Perhaps have a bakery day where you could. We've got our absolutely fantastic vegan baking guide that takes you through all the different styles of cakes that you can use for have like a bake sale or just have a bake day. Obviously, the Great British Bake Off's currently running at the moment, so again you could have something in parallel to that. But I would say that you could even just do it small, because like small changes do make a big difference, whether it be a meat-free Monday, whether it be a taster day, or doing one dish up against another dish where it's the standard dish versus the vegan dish, or even something as small as letting people try different plant-based milks. Because if everybody took the step to make a swap towards their plant-based milks, that it does make a big impact over time. So like when we were talking about tips for new vegans, it doesn't all have to be done all at the one time. It could be just a gradual change over time, and it all contributes to letting people try things. Like as Justina was saying, that tasting the products at the end is the fun bit, and it's removing the fear. I think particularly for older people that they might feel a little bit apprehensive to try something new, and if it's not what they're used to.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think that applies to many people that if they've not tried something new or something that, you know, unfamiliar, you know, people can be a little bit wary, but maybe having it as a side dish to begin with, or tasters, or get them involved, you know, in the planning is also another idea. You mentioned the bake-off. I know this is probably going to be a little bit out of date, but last night the chefs were making spanakopita, and if you're interested in making a vegan version, there is one on our website, which is also part of the guide that Claire mentions, which is a veganizing classic dishes. Now, more specifically, what about for carers? So people that might be visiting someone's home and it's on an individual basis, perhaps they're not specifically a caterer, but they have some catering experience. What sort of advice and encouragement could you give them? So, Ollie, would you like to kick off with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing is to find out what people like. Vegetarians and vegans are all individuals. We don't all like tofu and lentils. So you really want to find out their favorite dishes so they'll be encouraged to eat. And we mentioned the veganizing classic dishes there. That's a really good guide to go to as well. Mock meats, again, for newbies might be a good transition food, but it's really important to get a nutritionally balanced meal. So your omegas, your vitamin D, your B12, and to balance your plate with your veggies. Half your plate should be veggies, and then you've got a quarter of your plate your proteins, and then your sort of starchy carbohydrates as well should make up the rest.
Fantastic. And I also sort of say, you know, if someone was unsure about cooking, you'll probably do something at home. You'll have something that you may be able to, as you were suggesting, chefs, may be able to convert to be something that's vegetarian and vegan. But yeah, absolutely, you know, can't agree more that you need to talk to the person that you care for. Lovely. Justina, any final thoughts on that? We've got lots of questions to get through, so we'll whiz through this.
I think I just one of those things, taking food to the next level is not just about cooking, but I think for myself at least, I really love shopping. So if a carer could take someone they care for into the shop, perhaps the local organic shop or local health store, which is likely to have more of a selection of a vegan sort of product, it's a day trip, then becomes quite a short one because it's obviously a small shop, but there's so many interesting things in there. So it's definitely find out where your local shops are and just make shopping a bit more fun and get people involved so that they can grab things off the shelf, and then obviously then you can find on our website how to cook those things.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it is important to extend the food experience beyond just the thing that appears in front of you for everybody, you know, whether it be planning, shopping, budgeting, all those things, and that applies to you know, all ages as well. Now, next question, I'm going to send this to Claire, if I may. What advice would you give for food wastage? Now, I'm thinking this particularly because if caterers were trying new dishes, they might be trying new vegetables and new things, so they kind of want to keep an eye on not being wasteful. So what tips would you have for caterers specifically to reduce food wastage?
I think if you've prepared new vegetables, and particularly if you've got a lot of peelings, us all as chefs love to keep that bag of peelings in the freezer and then make it into stock, but it does make the best stock. And a lot of people think it can be quite a bit of faff, but what myself and Ollie do is take our peelings and then put it in a low oven. So perhaps you've already had something in the oven, you've got your oven up to temperature and you've been cooking something, just slide one of those trays in and then you can blitz it down into a powder and you know exactly what's in it, and like there's not a lot of salt in it compared to like supermarket brands. But if you've got a lot of vegetables that are left over, you can make the base for a soup or the base for a sauce. A lot of things can be pureed down, but also things can be repurposed. That, for example, if you had something like sweet potato left over, you could be making a veganized shepherd's pie and use, rather than just standard potato, you could use this sweet potato on top. But a lot of vegetables can be repurposed in a lot of different ways, and they really do make a good base for a soup or a sauce.
Fantastic. Justina, anything else you'd like to add there? So specifically for caterers.
Yeah, I think there's nowadays a lot of machinery that people can buy, and they just sort of reduce wastage. So one of those things, making your own chips and using those obviously skin on. Quite often people charge extra for skin on fries and chips, and it's one of those things that you can just make very easily, and just keeping the skin for extra fiber. So it's one of those things, either use method as Claire suggested, or you can just eat the skin, but make sure you give it a really good scrub before you do consume that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so the next question, I'm going to send this to Ollie, if I may. What baking tips would you offer for somebody who's contemplating doing some vegan baking?
Oh, I've got a whole list of this.
Steady, Ollie, we've only got half an hour.
Yeah. We've got a whole guide on this as well. I think we already mentioned it, a whole vegan baking guide. Some quick tips would be to choose the right substitute. So, there's all these different substitutes we can use in place of eggs, for example. And for binding, we can use flaxseed or chia seed or something like that. For moisture, we can use banana, apple sauce, even more exotic pumpkin sauces and things like that. And then for sort of leavening things, we can use baking soda and vinegar, which creates a reaction and creates a rise, or even aquafaba, which I'm sure you've heard about, which is actually the juice from chickpeas, which can be whipped, and you can create wonderful things with it, like meringues and all sorts. But I'll let someone else jump in.
Okay. Okay, Claire, any baking tips?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of aquafaba because I do a lot of chickpea curries in my house. So what I've found is if you put a little bit of tartaric acid in along with the aquafaba, it'll whip up quicker, but it'll also hold better. So it just makes it a little bit more stable for bakes. And what I've found through trial and error is that there's a lot of vegan spreads available, but if you're doing a sponge or a cake, I would advise to use vegan block butter. It definitely holds your bake much better because the margarines and the spreads seem to be too soft and too wet, so they're not ideal for baking. It's fine for sandwiches and things like that. So if you are baking, make sure that you use the block. And a really simple one is getting your oven right up to temperature. So a lot of people will get their cake ready and the oven's not up to temperature. So making sure that the oven's up to temperature, then start to prepare your batter. And that means that your oven will have had the hot air circulating and it will be warm for, say, even 10-15 minutes. Then put your cake in and you'll get a much better rise and a nicer bake if you do that.
That's fantastic advice. I'd also just like to add, if you use xanthan gum, also acts as a good stabilizer to hold it together. So it's with the aquafaba. Justina, any final thoughts on baking?
Well, other than patience, it's one of those things that obviously have to work out what works best for you. So nowadays you can buy no egg replacements and they come in the box from the shop, other than all the amazing things Ollie have mentioned already. So if you buy those pre-packaged no egg replacements, make sure you work out the ratio as well, because sometimes it doesn't work. So I would definitely suggest you prepare your cake in advance or practice at least once before you make it for a celebration, so you know that it will turn out just the way you expected it to.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I find vegan bakes are a bit more delicate than general bakes, so you've got to treat it a bit lighter, don't over mix, and also let it cool as well when it comes out, because they can sort of collapse a bit. They're just a bit more delicate, take a little bit more time to firm up, basically.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely good advice there. So, Claire, some general tips, if you like, to encourage someone to try something new, try a new recipe, or to try a new technique. If someone was a little bit hesitant, what sort of advice or encouragement would you give to that person?
I'd say maybe work around flavours that you like and textures that you like. So perhaps you've almost made the same curry all the time, looking at different spice blends, and perhaps you've only used like chickpea and mushroom, and it's like, well, I'm going to experiment with tofu this time. So I would say have fun with it, and perhaps as we're coming into the winter weather, it'll be dark night, so there'll be more time to spend in your kitchen and to do a bit more experiment and start with something really simple. Could be something like a soup, and if it doesn't work out, like Justine was saying there about baking, sometimes it's trial and error. Don't be put off if it's not successful the first time. There's loads and loads of hints and tips on our blogs, on our website. All of our publications are accompanied by chef's tips as well. So it could be something as simple as changing the spice blend or changing the actual green herbs that you use. So it's just about having fun with it, and don't be afraid to fail, because even us as chefs, we've all been there, and it's just about having fun with it.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more there, Claire. I mean, the key is to have fun. And if you've got favourite recipes, as you say, just kind of twist them around a little bit so you can find something new. And yes, you're right, we've all made mistakes. But hopefully, on the other side of it, we'll become better chefs. Lovely. I'm going to move on, because I've got a few other questions. It's getting towards that time of year where we might be thinking about going out in the evening and not cooking. So what sort of tips would you have for new vegans for eating out? Ollie, would you like to open up with that? So people that have, maybe just turned vegan and they're sort of wondering, can they go out to the restaurant? How does it work with their friends that maybe not vegan? All that sort of social side to it.
I think it's so much easier these days. It seems like everywhere has a vegan, at least definitely have a vegetarian option, but pretty much everywhere has a vegan option as well these days. There's even, around by me, there's like so many vegan places that popped up in the last couple of years. So you're really spoiled for choice. But yeah, obviously do some research if you're a little bit worried, and check out if they do a vegan option. And there's loads of apps as well that you can look at. That's what I'd say.
Fantastic. Justina, any tips for dining out as a new vegan?
I think I always read my menus in advance, so I do a bit of research. There's a couple of different, obviously, apps you can find the menus on, but do make sure that they have them, or at least have 2 things you would eat from the menu. And if you're uncertain, if you go to the restaurant and it's not clearly labeled, do ask people. Be that pushy person, say, I want you to speak to the chef. I want you to guarantee that this food actually is vegan friendly, because sometimes there is that mysterious sort of thing, a sauce they didn't think about. It goes in like fish sauce, and that's why it's not clearly labeled. But waitress possibly don't know about that. So it's really important to have that communication and have your answers, even though it could be awkward. You gotta know.
You've got to know, indeed. Claire, anything to add?
Yeah, perhaps if you're in a situation where you're in a small town that doesn't have vegan restaurants, and there's maybe just like the tomato pasta, there's not much adventurous, and you're out for a special occasion. Perhaps look at the starters. So I was actually at a new Moroccan restaurant in Glasgow a couple of nights ago, and there was no vegan options at all. So I managed to take 3 starters and with a side salad, and it did make for a meal. So it's not ideal, but it's just, I was saying, do your research, have a look at the menu in advance. And chefs generally can be a little bit huffy, so it's about being really polite to the staff, the front of house staff, to say, do you make everything from fresh? Because a lot of places don't make to order. It could be made in advance. So it's saying, well, can you make me something just for me? And it's about being nice, because I have seen people in the past going, there's nothing on the menu, I want this, and they're really stroppy, and that type of attitude is not going to get you anywhere at all. So it's maybe biting your tongue for what you want to say, but being very nice to the front of house staff to, can you please make me something? But it's just, I was saying there as well, front of house staff might not be aware of what's vegan and what's not. Don't just assume that everybody knows. So explaining what you like and what you don't eat, and then that'll give the chef a little bit of a nudge to see if they can make something for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, these days we are spoilt for choice. Well, it's always nice to have more, but most high streets have got something that you can have, whether it be curry or pizza or pasta or whatever it is. There's always something there, which is great. Now then, beyond going out for dinner, it is approaching that time of year. Can I say Christmas? It's too late now. It's out there. It's out there. Sorry, Justine, it's out there. And but yeah, we've as caterers, you know, we've looked forward, as in we've forward planning. I don't know whether we look forward to catering at Christmas. I actually do. But what you know, what tips could you give for someone who's maybe, you know, trying, you know, going to be vegan for the very first time this Christmas? And of course, you might not celebrate Christmas, but it certainly is a big occasion. So, Ollie, as a new, what tips would you give to a new vegan, someone who's trying it for the first time? They might have family coming over who are going to have you know, meat, and you're going to have, you know, how would you balance all that? What advice would you give?
I think you just got to stick to your guns, embrace all these new products as well, or these alternatives. Look at the guides, look at our website. We've got so many recipes there, so many different PDFs and things you can look at, inspiring recipes. Don't be afraid to go unchristmassy as well, you know, like different flavors. We've got like a whole baked cauliflower as a Christmas recipe, which is delicious, but perhaps not your sort of traditional Christmas flavors. Yeah, that's
fantastic. Claire, can I bring you in on this one? So someone that's, you know, new to, you know, to being vegan and Christmas, and there's a lot of pressure, you know, there's a lot, you've got family coming around, or, you know, there's a lot of pressure. So what advice would you give?
I would say be prepared for the questions, because everybody that's going to come round the table is going to have a lot of questions, and maybe take a step back from your vegan principles, and that it's not at the dinner table is not the place and time to be saying, do you know how these turkeys are reared, and blah blah. So maybe taking a step back from that. So I would say perhaps bring a dish if you're going to visit somebody. Take a dish that you know that everybody's going to enjoy. Even like volunteer to cook, so that there's something for everybody, so that people can learn about vegan cooking and share some of your recipes. But from my own experience, that you've gone to somebody's house and they've made the smallest amount of effort, or perhaps they've made an effort that's not quite right, be thankful and grateful for the effort they've made, because little encouragement does go a long way. And then you can maybe explain to people going, that dish you thought it was vegan, oh, but by the way, egg's not vegan, just as an example. So I've had so many occasions like that where people are like, oh, but I thought you ate this. What do you mean cheese isn't vegan? But being supportive of the effort that people have made, and I think as well, like making new traditions, like Ollie was mentioning there, the lovely roasted cauliflower. And I know you're a big fan of the mushroom Wellington dish, Alex. So it's
very much so.
Make a new tradition and bring that to the table, and those are definitely recipes that I think everybody would enjoy, not just a vegan.
Fantastic. Justina, what advice would you give?
Well, everybody's being so kind. I was just saying, if you're having people over, don't tell them it's vegan. Just make what you're gonna have, what you're gonna enjoy, and when it's served, that's your Christmas dinner. And obviously, if you're cooking for the first time, don't stress yourself out on the day. A lot of things you can prepare in advance and freeze it, and then cook it on the day. So make that centerpiece perhaps in advance and be ready to cook first thing in the morning, so it's all ready for you when your guests arrive.
Fantastic. Some great advice there. I mean, there's some of the little things, you know, like instead of if you put butter on the vegetables, and that may go into all of them, you know, you can use a vegan alternative. You can use oat milk if you're making mashed potatoes. Obviously, with roast potatoes, you don't need to use this thing of goose fat, which has become quite popular. You know, there's lots of oils you can use to roast them, and really, you know, no one will know, so you'll still get that basis. But definitely talk to the people that are doing the catering way ahead of time, so they're not stressed, because you want them to relax and enjoy. Take some stuff with you if you're going somewhere. You know, maybe even get the person to practice if they feel that they need it. But it's a time to enjoy and reflect. So have fun with that. Okay, now this takes me on now because we've got a new series of online cookery classes. So it's a brand new thing that we're doing. I think the first person that's coming up in to book, if you like, is Justina. She's got her class. So Justina, can you tell us all about your up and coming online cookery class? Sorry, that's my phone making noises. Still apologize about that.
So it's going to be virtual, and we're going to keep the groups small for all these masterclasses. So up to 6 is really small and very personal, and lessons will take around an hour and a half. And then my classes will be specifically focused on air fryer. So you might have got one for Christmas and you haven't used it, or perhaps you're going to get one for Christmas and you're going to prepare in advance. So it's suitable for those who ideally wants to learn. So it doesn't matter where your skills are, you will learn how to use it and how to make some amazing recipes. So it's one of those things that we're going to send you the list, the recipes, what to pack, what to buy. So it's potentially a cook along. But if you're not feeling having your laptop or a tablet in the kitchen, you don't have to. Feel free to just watch and just sort of take notes if you prefer that. So it's a very friendly environment to learn things.
Fantastic. Well, I think I'm going to sign up for this. I didn't tell you that I was going to do that, but I'm going to sign up for this because behind me, I don't know if you can see that, I have got an air fryer that I swapped for a bottle of red wine and 4 cans of Stella. The other lagers are available, and it's just been sat there. I've just not used it. I look forward to doing that. Do you know the date?
So it's 22nd of November. On 11 o'clock, we're starting in our kitchens in our chef whites and aprons.
Brilliant, thank you. And so the next one up is mine. And so I'm doing a Christmas masterclass. Now I do love Christmas, I really do. I love everything about it, and the busyness in the shops, the pubs getting full, all that kind of, the lights, people moaning, all that sort of stuff is part of the kind of tradition for me. What I'd like to, if you're available, and come and join me, and that's going to be on December the 10th at 2 p.m. and I'm going to show you some lovely dishes, how to make those, and we'll make those in real time. And one of the dishes that I'm going to show you is the one that Claire mentioned, which is the mushroom and nut Wellington. It's a fantastic recipe, so I'm going to show you how to do that, and lots of other dishes as well. But as Justina was saying, we'll send you the list of the ingredients ahead of time. And of course, it is a cook along, but it may be that there's one dish you decide you don't want to cook along and you'll just watch. That's absolutely fine. So I look forward to seeing. And then you can find the details of all of these courses, and you can also book via our website. So if you just follow the links, you'll be able to find out more and book. So the next person is Claire, and you're doing a masterclass in.
It's curry. So all things curry. So we doing an entry-level curry. So this is for people with basic knowledge. So we're starting off with basic curry. Then that'll be accompanied by an authentic pilau rice. A lot of people go wrong with rice, so I'll show you all the do's and don'ts in my store cupboard hints and tips and spice cabinet that will be going into the lovely curry and pilau rice, and that'll be accompanied by an authentic flatbread, and then we'll make a small selection of dips to go along with that as well.
Fantastic.
So that is on the 21st of January at 2 p.m.
Fantastic. That sounds lovely. And finally, Ollie.
Yeah, they all sound really, really delicious. I think I'm going to come to all of those. People always ask me in classes about air fryer recipes. Every class I do, they're like, "Oh, can you do that recipe in the air fryer?" So yeah, that one will be really good. Mine's all about all things nuts. So with a focus on nut cheese, so fermenting nuts to make cheese. Like cheese doesn't have to be made from milk at all. So it's just creating fermented things from nuts, amongst other things as well. I'll be making some interesting pesto and things like that. So yeah, come along. It's on the 17th of February, 1 p.m.
Fantastic. Well remembered there. Well remembered. No, it is. You do see in the shops all sorts of sort of vegan alternatives, but cheese is one that I'll be particularly keen to learn more about. Vegan cheese, because sometimes in the shop I'm not quite sure I'm picking the right brand, but I'd just love to learn more about that. So that's fantastic. Thank you, thank you. Well, chefs, we've come to the end of our chef's chat this time. Claire, any last thoughts for vegans coming up to Vegan Month?
I would say just experiment and have fun with it.
Fantastic. Justina?
I think be brave and try new recipes. And if you don't like ingredients, you can also swap them out for other things. So just try them.
Brilliant, brilliant. And lastly, Ollie.
Yeah, try and eat a nutritionally balanced diet, which is totally achievable on a vegan diet.
Fantastic. Great advice all around. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Chef's Chat. I hope you found it interesting. So don't forget to have a look on our website. We've got lots of recipes. We've got publications on there that you can download. And of course, you can book the new masterclasses. So until next time, take care.